cause, prayed for her protection, and successfully pressured for her release. I did that. I did that with one phone call, actually. And she had such support. It was so easy. And when I explained it to the powers that be, yes, sir, we will do it right away. I just wish I knew earlier. But it's a big world with a lot of people. Miriam and Maya are here this morning and now live safely in America, where we protect Christians. We don't kill them, we protect them, and you're getting protected better now than you've ever been protected before. So Miriam and Maya, thank you. Where are you? Are they here? They're here someplace. Where are you? Please stand up. Stand up, thank you. That's great. A lot of bravery. No administration in modern history has done more to confront the plight of persecuted Christians around the world than we have. With us, it's a mission. It's actually a mission. On Christmas Day, in close coordination with the government of Nigeria, we worked with them, but they got to get tougher. I ordered powerful airstrikes to decimate the ISIS terrorists who have been slaughtering Christians in that country by the thousands. It's not even believable. We hit them so hard, they still don't know what the hell happened. And we were going to do it on a different day. I said, no, do it on Christmas, so they understand it. Remember, Christmas was, when I ran in 2015, when I announced, I said, we're going to bring back Christmas, because the word Christmas was almost gone, and we did. People use Christmas anymore. We brought back the word Christmas. They didn't want to use it, and we're using it again. But I specifically told Pete, I said, hit him on Christmas Day. Not earlier and not later, right, Pete? And man, did he hit him. So then we hit him again recently. We hit him again pretty hard. But we're honored to be joined today by the First Lady of Nigeria, who also happens to serve as a Christian pastor at the largest church in Nigeria, a very respected woman. First Lady, please, where are you? Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Very respected person, too. Thank you. I'm also working tirelessly to end dangerous conflicts and help move past ancient hatreds. In October, I ended the war in Gaza, saving hundreds of thousands of lives. It's amazing. We have peace in the Middle East, by the way. First time in 3,000 years. We have peace. There are little embers, but it's nothing much. You know, we got back the last hostage, dead hostage. We got back all the hostages now, all of them. We got the 20, but we got many. You know, we got hundreds back before that. But we got back the last hostage, dead hostage, and Hamas helped us get it back. It was a big statement. Now they have to disarm. Some people say they won't, but they will. And if they don't, they're going to not be around any longer. But they agreed to disarm. As the Bible tells us, blessed are the peacemakers. That's true. The peacemakers are very important. But you can only have peace, I find, through strength. If you don't have strength, peace is very hard. And we have strength. In 1 year, I've ended 8 raging wars, such as Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Armenia and Azerbaijan. These are all wars that were, President Putin called me up on Azerbaijan and Armenia. He said, I've been working 10 years to get that war. How did you do it? And I got it done. I got it done. 2 really good leaders. All they knew was fighting each other. They were fighting each other for many years. That's all they knew. And we got it worked out pretty quickly. A few months ago, right here in Washington, we signed a historic peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, which provides the first ever pathway to peace to end a 30-year, unbelievably violent conflict. And we're joined today by a very, very brave and wonderful man, the president of the Congo. President, would you stand up, please? You are so... President, thank you. And you really are. You're a brave man. I know what you've been through. I know that one very well. That was a hard one. That was many, many years. And it's working out okay. Nothing's easy. Every once in a while I have to call them both back, but it's working out okay. It's going to work out good. But you are brave, and we appreciate you being here. Great honor. Great honor. Good guy. Together, he and I have also signed the largest minerals deal in U.S.-Africa history. And, you know, Congo has magnificent land. It's incredible land, and he's doing very well with it, so we appreciate it. But we've signed the largest deal with some of our big companies, and they're going in. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and you call me for anything, right? Thank you. And just in closing, scriptures always tell us that blessed are the pure in heart. I don't know if that applies to me necessarily. I'm not so sure. I don't know, Paula, does that apply to me? I'm not sure. I try. But we're joined this morning by two incredible young American patriots and believers who show that, you know, that's so true. Last summer, Emma Foltz and London Smith were both camp counselors at Camp Mystic, the Christian girls' camp in Central Texas. One of the worst things I've ever seen. On that fateful night, 20 inches of rain fell in a matter of minutes. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And the river rose 20 feet in literally 30 minutes, leaving utter devastation and destruction. Emma bravely helped lead 14 precious little girls to safety. And London, seeing the water rise, gathered with other girls at the top of their building and prayed. They just prayed and prayed. And as they prayed, the water miraculously stopped rising. Just a few inches from their feet, it was going to overwhelm them. Anybody in the cabins were gone. Anybody in the cabins were gone. Who would have known? They thought the cabins were the safe place to be. It wasn't. Then the water began to retreat, and many hours later they were finally rescued. As you know, many young people died that night. When asked what she hopes others to take away from her story, London said, "This life is not promised. Our breath every minute is not guaranteed. Because of that, we shouldn't take life for granted, and we should just live it well." I mean, it was an amazing statement. I saw her make the statement. Young girl making that statement. Incredible, actually. A very complex statement. Smart, but true. London, I know exactly what you mean, and I want to thank you both for being here and your remarkable, incredible courage. It's been really amazing. And if you could at least stand, you know. I said, "Would you like to speak?" And they said, "Well, we're a little shy." But you know what? You may be shy, but you're very brave. Would you please stand? I went to the camp a few days after the flood. It's with First Lady, and it was devastating. I met parents. It was just, this could be nothing worse than that. It was a horrible, horrible moment. Almost 250 years after our founding fathers took one of the greatest leaps of faith in human history, the story of Emma and London shows us that faith of the American people remains unbroken. Actually became stronger than ever. And it reminds us that prayers strengthen, prayers heal, prayer empowers, and prayer saves. Quite simply, prayer is America's superpower. It really is a superpower. And it always has been, and it always will be. And I have no doubt that with the love, devotion, and patriotism of the people in this room and our friends from all over the world, some great ones right here, we can make our country and the world a safer, stronger, more peaceful, and more faithful place than ever before. And it's all happening right before your very eyes. And I want to, again, thank you. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you, everybody, very much. Thank you.
Shortly? Okay, good. Let's do that now. Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. Would you all please join me in a prayer for the President? Heavenly Father, we come before you with humble and grateful hearts, mindful that every authority on earth is ultimately under your sovereign care. Today we lift up President Donald J. Trump, and we ask for your wisdom and your guidance as he carries the mantle of leadership for this nation and around the world. We know that you have placed him in this position for this season in our nation's glorious 250-year history. And so we ask that whatever storm comes his way, he would weather with grace, favor, and clarity. Lord, strengthen him in moments of great responsibility and give him peace in moments of great weight. Surround him with advisors who speak honestly, serve faithfully, and place the good of the nation first. When decisions are difficult and the path forward is uncertain, may he be guided by your spirit of wisdom and understanding. Grant him discernment rooted not in human understanding, but in your eternal wisdom. Remind him where the root of his joy lies and of the plans you have in store for him, for his family, and for this nation. Remind him how very deeply he is loved by you and that you hold him in the palm of your hand. May he not doubt the things you have spoken to him in the quiet place. Instead, Lord, guide his steps and guard his heart. May his ear always be turned to you when he is faced with difficult decisions, and may he seek your will to be done through him. Continue to surround him with counselors who love truth, speak boldly, and walk humbly before you. Where there is weariness, bring renewal. Where there is pride, bring humility. Where there is uncertainty, bring clarity through your Spirit. Father, we ask for your divine protection over the President and his family. Draw him closer to you, and may his leadership reflect the fruits of your Spirit. We bring these things to you in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Thank you. In the Latin, imago Dei, and we always be reminded we are made in the image of God. In the Latin, verbum Dei, that we also be reminded that we ask for the word of God. Our good and gracious God, we pray for the health and deliberations of the President of the United States. And we pray that you would be the final arbiter of whatever decisions he endeavors to make. That you would increase the stature of his wisdom, because without you, none of us can adjudicate the overwhelming details of leadership and life. Today we pray for America, and we pray for all parliamentarians around the world. The book of Timothy teaches us that you've been entrusted with leadership. Today we pray for the future of this nation, and that you would lead this president into greater levels of compassion for your name's sake. We pray that you would protect him from the iniquities of evil, and that you would give him greater clarity, greater courage, and greater capacity to do what is right in the forever challenges. Today we remind him that the lives of millions of people are in his hands, and that he has the power to turn mourning into dancing, or to reduce the country into a cosmic elegy of chaos and suffering. And it is because of this that we pray that the best of this president would rise among us. For the sake of this nation, for the sake of this world, we pray that goodness and mercy would announce themselves in his life in new and powerful ways. We pray that he would be mindful of the poor, and that he would be invested in the alleviation of suffering happening on farms in the Midwest, in the families preparing to bury their loved ones in Minneapolis. Remind him that we are all Americans, all made in the image of God, and that none of us are free unless all of us have our freedoms protected. Many people are not lazy. Many people are simply tired. Many people simply are not okay. Matthew 25 teaches us that faith, that our gifts are given from God and that we should show them with compassion towards others. But most of all, we pray that you would work out your will in his life. May we all do more for the greater glory of God, because when it's all said and done, we pray as Jesus taught us to pray. We ask that we surrender our all to Jesus. To all hope I give him freely. I will ever love and trust him, and in his life and presence live daily. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Amen.
You may ask me how I know my Lord is real. My Lord is real. You may doubt the things I say and doubt the way I feel. The way I feel. But I know he's real today. He'll always be. He'll always be. I can feel his hand in mine, and that's enough for me.
47th. The 47th. Let's continue with the music, guys. You can continue to play it. There we go. Let's do what we said we were going to do. 47th President of the United States at the 74th National Prayer Breakfast. President Trump had remarks over an hour, talked about a wide range of issues, including his belief in his faith. This is one of the most important events, kind of in the, well, definitely in the spiritual calendar of Washington, D.C. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're starting the war room a little late because we want to have complete coverage of the president and the National Prayer Breakfast. We have a lot to go through this morning. We're very jammed. Scott Bessent, our former contributor and colleague and dear friend, got into a total throwdown yesterday in front of, I think it was the House Banking Committee. It was basically a shouting match for hours. He is in front of the Senate Banking Committee. I believe that Elizabeth Warren is the ranking member on the Democrat side. She's going to have an opening statement. We're trying to go to that. The narco-terrorism conference, the hearing is also playing, so we're going to kind of juggle things this morning. Real America's Voice is good. They showed the National Prayer Breakfast without commercial interruption, and we're going to skip a break here. I want to have a very special cold open because, folks, a lot has gone on since we left you yesterday at, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's go ahead and play our cold open, and I will return in just a moment. Let's go ahead and let it rip.
Fight to stop Donald Trump from rigging the midterm elections in his favor. Today, the Supreme Court rejected a Republican effort to block California's new congressional map. The state drew new districts to favor Democrats after Trump demanded Texas redraw their map to help his party maintain control of the House. Governor Gavin Newsom responded, quote, Trump said he was entitled to 5 more congressional seats in Texas. He started this redistricting war. He lost, and he'll lose again in November. In Georgia today, Fulton County filed a court motion demanding the return of 2020 ballots seized by Trump's FBI last week. The county's top commissioner said he views the FBI raid as a first step to suppress the voter turnout this year. Trump is putting the building blocks in place, folks. Don't be mistaken here. These are the building blocks he's putting in place for an unconstitutional federal takeover of our elections. Listen to the cities he wants to target next.
Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Pennsylvania. Take a look at Philadelphia. You go take a look at Atlanta. Look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections. And the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved.
The federal government should get involved. Fulton County might be the first block, but it won't be the last, my friend.
Donald Trump is already calling to nationalize elections, to essentially illegitimately take control of states' election systems down to, like, how the votes are counted. And he and his allies are now straight up telling us they plan to try everything they can to interfere in the midterms, including using ICE agents. Steve Bannon, who had a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, wears 3 shirts and likes to speak as if he's still in the White House, has been leading the charge.
We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. But let's put you on notice again. ICE is going to be around the polls in the 2026 midterm elections.
It's a political operation. This is all this is. This isn't about the fact that some states have decided to go rogue in their voting and in their process of voting and the idea that citizens can trust the ballots in that state and the federal government, which would then have a legitimate question about, okay, so what are you doing? But they're the problem. And Commissioner, that's the rub that you're going to run into if you're successful in becoming the one who's in charge of and looking after the vote in the state of Georgia and understanding exactly what's required. When you have the President of the United States tell us that we should lock down and control, Republicans should control 15 states, all Democratic states, democratically run with Democratic leadership across the state. When you have Steve Bannon saying that, oh, we're going to surround the polls with ICE agents. My question is, well, what polls are you talking about, Stevie? Are you talking about, I don't know, polls in your backyard? Or are you talking about polls in black and brown communities? Are you talking about polls here in Maryland, in Prince George's County, largest black county in the state of Maryland? Are you talking about putting polls there? Or are you talking about putting polls in Mike Johnson's district, where he has to go? Mr. Johnson, Speaker Johnson, are you ready to have ICE agents at your polls? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. Your district is majority white.
Not those polls, Michael Steele.
Oh, that's right. You won't have that problem now, will you, sir? But you oversee the House and can do something about it, but you won't because you're scared. You're scared of Steve Bannon. You're scared of Donald Trump. And I've heard you over the last few days, hubba lying through your teeth. That's the problem that you're going to have, Commissioner, when you take control of federal government that doesn't give a damn about your sovereignty as a state, doesn't give a damn about your process. So what are you saying to the people that you're hoping to elect you, that you're going to go and be able to protect their most precious asset, and that is the vote?
On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason. Make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before.
To pause and heighten the scrutiny of any bank charter or licensing application at the OCC connected to the World Liberty Financial until all of these conflicts of interest and foreign influence reviews are completed and shared with the United States Congress. All I need to know is, will you halt it and do a complete investigation and scrutiny of this licensing application? All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask
the
is yes or
OCC
no.
is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman.
So I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela to lobby
I take that as a no.
On behalf of your donor.
On behalf
of your donor.
You do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For a $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury.
Into a Venezuela.
You do not.
Mr. Makes,
Time
has expired.
You cannot erase what you did in 2006.
He's the one that went past your time, Mr. Chairman.
No, and
he did not answer my question, and he wouldn't pass the time.
He had 6 seconds left to try to answer your question, and it
was a yes or no. It was a yes or no answer. I asked him, will he? No,
gentleman,
yes
the
or
chair
no.
recognizes
the
gentleman.
Stop covering for the president. Stop being his flunky.
Gentlemen.
He's talking to me. I'm responding back to him.
2006 trip to Venezuela.
Stop covering for the president. Don't be a flunky. Work for the American people.
Mr. Makes,
trip to Venezuela.
Work for the American people. And maybe don't be a cover-up for a mob.
Maybe you're going to see your friend Nicholas Maduro.
Gentleman is not recognized. Mr. Bessent, please. I recognize the gentleman from Texas.
We're a swing state, and right now our state legislature is controlled by Republicans, and our state elections board is controlled by MAGA. And so we are in danger right now in this current year, before I even get a chance to be elected into that job, of the state elections board taking over our elections. So they may back off from this nationalization thing and say, okay, you're right, we can't go against the Constitution, but go ahead, state of Georgia elections board, take over the elections. And that will have the same effect. If the state elections board in Georgia takes over, then, there go the voters of Fulton County's votes, and there go the state of Georgia votes from all Democrats, and potentially there goes some of our major elections here. And, if that continues into 2028, there goes the presidential, right? So we have to have a Secretary of State who is defending our rights, not only as to allow a state takeover, but to allow the counties to run their elections the way they were intended to, and to not allow these changes to state law that are going to infringe on voters. And I'm sure there are similar things happening all across the country in states like ours.
To come in the right way. The American people might not want that, but Republicans haven't done anything to help us get there.
Republicans need this issue because their only option is to scare the hell out of people because they're fundamentally incapable of leading the economy in a responsible way here. There's only one point you made, though, that I disagree with, my new friend. And that is that they have a quota system. What they actually have is self-deportation goals. And so they will never want to do this quietly, even if they met these quotas. What they actually want to do is publicly scare the hell out of people with brutish, inhumane tactics that will up the number of people who just flee the country because they're so afraid. And that's the inherent immorality of this administration's policy and strategy.
And that's why the mask is so important. They can't do that. Exactly what you're saying. They cannot do that if they're not wearing masks.
Right. And I mean, it's extremely concerning because you look at how those sorts of voter roll checks are enforced, how the sort of driver license ID, even sort of simpler ID requirements are enforced. It's always disproportionately affects minority groups because you often have bluntly white poll workers being more suspicious of minority voters, and so that's always the effect here. I will say, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of momentum for the SAVE Act in Congress, but I am extremely concerned about this, potential ICE deployment that Steve Bannon is talking about. Now, obviously, Steve Bannon is a podcaster. He is trying to get attention so that he can get ad revenue. I always want to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it does seem like this is
still Steve Bannon.
Yeah, he's still Steve Bannon. It does seem like that's what they are trying to build up towards, and I think it's really important for people that support democracy, Republicans or Democrats, to get ahead of this and make very clear. It's not just that ICE deployments are unconstitutional, violate the First Amendment, 14th Amendment. Military deployments at polling places is a federal crime. 18 U.S.C. 592. Democrats need to be extremely clear. If this happens, they will be criminally prosecuted by a future administration. That is the only way this stops.
They at the prayer breakfast, the person that came on right after the president, the commander in chief, spoke to the prayer breakfast, said gave a prayer and said, asked Almighty God to buffet the president against any storms, I think, that would come in his administration or to his life. The storm has arrived. This is an inflection point in American history. This entire fourth turning, but now, as you know, the urgency and momentum builds up. Let's just make sure the Democrats understand something. Never again, with all your lies, we are never going to allow an election to be stolen. Look what you've done to this country. You have 15 to 20 million illegal aliens in this country, leeching off this country, bankrupting it with all these scams and all this fraud, and all you have to do is look up in Minneapolis to the Somalians, and that's all over the country, in every state in the union. We're not going to allow our country to be destroyed because you can't get legitimate citizens to vote for you. Not going to happen. And like I said, you can cry and whine and throw your toys out of the pram and throw a hissy fit. ICE, and if it has to call the Insurrection Act, then the 82nd and 101st Airborne are going to be around the polls. And they should be around every poll, because we don't want any. I don't care about the district. We don't want any, and we will not allow any illegal aliens to vote. They have to have an ID. They have to be on a voter roll that must be purged. And the mail-in ballots must be checked and signature verified. We're going to take a short commercial break. The storm has arrived, and we're going to ride it out next in the War Room.
When the lights go down, the truth comes out.
This is built like a chicken McNugget, but...
This is After Hours with Alex Stein. No filter.
You're a globalist. You don't care about America.
No apologies.
You're a pro-abortion when you should have been aborted.
The undisputed king of trolling.
I was recently sexually assaulted within the metaverse.
I want to vaccinate your mom.
They tried to cancel us.
Deplatforming works.
She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
Politics, culture, hypocrisy.
They want them to have their penises cut off.
Uncensored and uncontrolled.
Cut your penis off, Max. That's what I'm saying. They admit they want to cut people's penises off.
Late night just got dangerous. After Hours with Alex Stein. Coming soon to Real America's Voice. Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridging the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
County absentee ballots. There were 74,000 absentee ballots that had come into Fulton County by the time the polls closed, the legal deadline by the time the polls closed on November the 3rd. But somehow, 4 days later, instead of those 74,000, there were 148,000 plus, just a little over 148,000 absentee ballots that were now suddenly in the mix. Now, where did those come from? Fulton County election officials ordered on October the 16th over 1 million new absentee ballots. They were ordered without envelopes, even though in order to cast an absentee ballot in Georgia, you have to mail it. You have to put it in an envelope. It has to be sealed in an envelope. And we saw in one of our counts in our lawsuit, our election contest, that was never heard by a judge because no judge was appointed. But our volunteers saw all of these pristine ballots, no folds. Those cannot be absentee ballots.
If Mo and Grace and Elizabeth, that's Cleta, can push it. I just want the PDF, and I need people to get into not just the summary, but to I think it's a 264-page report. Raffensperger came on the Today Show, because remember, go back, particularly those of you who have been with us for a while, we covered live, as we always do, the election. I think it was Raheem and myself, Bill McGinley, remember that? Jason Miller, I think, was at the White House, would come in and out. Raffensperger went on the Today Show the next morning, and this is Cleta's, the opening of that. There had been 4.7 million ballots, which I think was a record in Georgia. He says this. There were, Trump was up at that time, this is the morning after, by 103,000 ballots. We had Richard Barris and others coming on that had done precinct by precinct analysis, and they said it's only 100. Trump's up by 103, and there are only 94,000 ballots uncounted. And it is impossible, mathematically impossible, for Biden to win. And what happened? All of a sudden, miraculously, these mail-in ballots. And by the way, mail-in ballots had to be there by the close of the polls. I think it's 7 Eastern Standard Time on the 3rd, or they didn't count. And all of a sudden, miraculously, like the loaves and the fishes, these ballots start showing up, 300,000. It turns a total fiasco. Cleta Mitchell and a team walk through this thing in excruciating detail. In fact, one of the young men on the team was on Steve Stern's call yesterday. And so when they say, oh, it's been checked 10 times, so only 9 people, no, that is a bald-faced lie. We're talking about the mail-in ballots. They know exactly what we're talking about. We haven't even gotten to the machines yet with the tapes and all that. That's why Tulsi Gabbard was down there when the stuff was seized. And we already know that the tapes, many of the tapes have been fouled. The left has to understand, if your voters are U.S. citizens that are registered to vote legitimately and have an ID, what's your worry? Why are you going crazy? I tell you why you're going crazy. We caught you in stealing the 2020 election, and we're never going to allow it to happen again. Look what's happened to the nation. Look where we're having to spend your time. This whole concept of opportunity cost, that you can't focus on this because you have to focus on this. And here's what we're focused on. We're going to get every illegal alien out of this country with mass deportations or self-deportations. It has to happen, or we're not a sovereign nation, and we're not going to allow the games that you guys have played to continue to be played. We're drawing a line in the sand, and it's not going to happen. Now, Tom Homan's as good a guy as you can get. One of the best that we have. But his thing of unprecedented cooperation, just in the last 48 hours, Hochul in New York has signed a decree, I think an executive order. There will be no cooperation, none, between law enforcement at the city or state level with ICE agents. It's a sanctuary state, and she's throwing down hard. Spanberger, in her drive to be Newsom's VP, has done the same thing in the Commonwealth of Virginia. After she swore on the campaign trail she would not do that, she signed an executive order to do it. So the Democrat, and Fry and Waltz, I think you heard President Trump in the both at the prayer breakfast and I think in the NBC interview. have not been cooperative at all. Maybe a couple of sheriffs have taken Tom Homan's phone call. That's not unprecedented. Unprecedented cooperation sends a signal to the other side. And let me tell you where we are right now. We're in a jam. Senator Schmitt's going to be here to, I think, help us think through how we're going to do this. John Solomon, who's going to tee up the show with his great reporting over Just the News, of like how, we got the SAVE Act and the Save America Act, and the Make America Great Again Act, and they kind of all in combination get to the problem. But right now, I think, and I realize some people disagree with me, I think they've got the cards because we walked into this trap that we've carved out DHS, and you saw last night they came and gave us their demands. Their demands is essentially to shut down ICE. No mask, body cameras. Right, body cameras not to track people, these illegal aliens, but to show vulnerabilities of what the ICE agents are doing. Also, they don't have immunity. You need a federal warrant. You need a judicial warrant on every time. You got to get 15 million people. Will be 15 million years before we get them. None of that is negotiable. It's non-negotiable. Every item they sent, and they know that. Because now they say, well, good, shut down DHS. We don't care, because they don't care. They don't care about terrorists coming into the country. They're for mass immigration. They're for open borders. They're consistent because their business model is predicated upon it. Totally predicated upon it. Jesse Kelly said it. I think he's right. They probably got 20, 25% of the vote in this country. They can't win unless they cheat. Why do you think they're going crazy over we're saying, hey, we're just putting ICE agents around? There's going to be zero illegitimate foreigners in this country voting for the midterm elections that basically they want to do to shut President Trump down. This is not even a question, and they can they can throw the toys at the pram and throw a hissy fit and whine and bitch and moan every day. It's not going to happen, and we need the Republicans to take a tough stand. I know that's an oxymoron, but they're going to have to do it. I heard today at some of these meetings, they've got these Senate meetings going, House meetings, donors are back there. People are talking about these voucher programs. Hey, if a guy's been here for 5 years, we're going, no, you're not giving any vouchers. We're not doing that. Particularly the people that are involved in allowing the Somalians to come here and now sitting there going, know nothing about it. Tom Emmer, you started the Somalian caucus in the House of Representatives. You're just as guilty of doing this as a Democrat. Okay, and you may be the whip, and you may be a big guy, and you may be a hockey player, and you're going to high stick everybody. Hey, I don't care. You're part of the problem. And now it's been exposed of what a scam it is and what a crime against the nation, all of a sudden you're Mr. Oh, we got to get the Somalians out. Well, where the hell were you when it first happened? Everybody knew this was going to happen. This is not shocking news to anybody. So we're in it now, and the next couple of weeks are going to define. And anybody, if you put body cameras, you're just giving the opposition, so you're just taking a knee. They're going to look at anything as weakness. And right now, unprecedented cooperation, a couple of calls from sheriffs in upstate Minnesota is not unprecedented cooperation. That's some guys pleading for help. I got it. When Fry goes on national TV and says, yes, we're going to allow ICE to come in to the jails and start getting these bad hombres out in an organized fashion and get them the hell out of the country. And when Wall says we're going to do it through the rest of the state and we're going to welcome ICE to do this as step one, then to me, that is cooperation. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen the numbers. And I can tell you the rest of the states in Illinois, in California, in New York, and now the Commonwealth of Virginia, they're throwing down harder than ever. Cortez, you got a great documentary on this. I do want to go to the House banking thing because right there, Max Rose said on the cold open, the Republicans don't have anything. Dude, pull your head out of your ass and look at the growth rates that are happening. Right? Look at the growth rates that are happening. Don't give me the mouth that we don't know what's doing in the economy. Look at what Biden did in the economy, all federal spending that got us into the inflation problem and buried us as far as debt goes because of the ridiculous spending you did on things that don't matter. President Trump, at least the tax cuts are focused on driving capital investment to draw manufacturing back here, provide high value added jobs along with this tariff and trade policy. So don't tell me we don't know anything. The economy is roaring. In fact, one of the problems is Polly Pockets is sitting there. He's telling people the economy is going to be so on fire. We don't have to worry about anything else. Oh, sir, the economy is going to be on fire. And yes, there's a lot we have to worry about. Steve Cortez, your thoughts about where we are, sir?
Yes, so regarding the economy, and it's directly related to immigration, real wages are the mother's milk of prosperity for the vast majority of Americans who don't own substantial financial assets. So that means their pay adjusted for the goods and services they need in their life. That's real wages. We had a 2-year stretch under Joe Biden, 2 years straight for 24 months. Every single month, real wages went down. People were working harder to get poorer. Longest such stretch on record in American history. What we now have with Trump back in office is every single month of the Trump presidency, real wages are leaping higher. That's great news. Why is it connected to immigration? Because we've taken over 2 million illegal workers out of the labor force where they were competing unjustly, unlawfully against American workers, depressing wages for American citizens. So it's clearly one of the key reasons. There's other reasons, but it might be the foundational reason that particularly for working class Americans, real wages are jumping higher. So at the same time, they're bringing home more money. They're also bringing it literally to a home that is finally getting more affordable. And again, I point to the numbers here, not just sloganeering. Rent just hit a 4-year low nationally. We've seen rents come down since Trump took office nationally by 1.4%. It's much more than that in other places. Once again, to connect this to immigration, I just wrote an article about this, a national survey of apartment owners, investors, and landlords. 40% of them say that one of the reasons rents are going down, and I would argue the primary reason they're going down, is because the illegals are leaving. They put an artificial stress on the housing market, again, not just competing in the job market, but also competing in the housing market against American citizens. So our pay goes up, our life gets more affordable on top of all the other benefits of a secure border, national security, street safety, reclaiming our culture, social cohesion, a more patriotic, unified society of high trust that we can rebuild. But the economic benefits are tangible, they're clear. And again, this is another compelling reason why we absolutely must keep the foot on the gas regarding immigration enforcement, because immigration enforcement is an affordability driver. It's an affordability accelerant. Joe Biden put us into a terrible bind on both of those macro categories, on immigration with an open border and on affordability. President Trump is addressing both at the exact same time.
Steve, hang on for 1 second. I want to talk about, you got another documentary talking about more about cowtelling to illegal aliens and also immigrants ahead of American citizens. It has to stop, and it will stop. Steve Cortez is with us. Senator Eric Schmidt is scheduled, trying to get him at the top of the hour. John Solomon, Philip Patrick, talk about gold. Right now, take your phone out. Absolute, complete implosion in cryptocurrencies. Maybe you want to find out about gold as an alternative hedge against times of financial turbulence. The way you do that, take your phone out and text Bannon, Bannon, at 989898. You get the ultimate guide. This guide is free. This guide has no obligations. It's made for you of investing in gold and precious metals. That includes silver. And silver's been on a tear and then a plunge, another tear and another plunge. Find out about it. Philip Patrick and the team, get to them today at Birch Gold.
When the lights go down, the truth comes out.
This is built like a chicken McNugget, but...
This is After Hours with Alex Stein. No filter.
You're a globalist. You don't care about America.
No apologies.
You're a pro-abortion when you should have been aborted.
The undisputed king of trolling.
I was recently sexually assaulted within the metaverse.
I want to vaccinate your mom.
They tried to cancel us.
Deplatforming works.
She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
Politics, culture, hypocrisy.
They want them to have their penises cut off.
Uncensored and uncontrolled.
Cut your penis off, Max. That's what I'm saying. They admit they want to cut people's penises off.
Late night just got dangerous. After Hours with Alex Stein. Coming soon to Real America's Voice. Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
When you think of Central Illinois in the American heartland, you probably conjure up images of abundant, fertile farms, windswept plains, hardy Midwestern patriots, and perhaps even the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. But unfortunately, you should also picture this. Yes, that's Illini football, broadcast in Mandarin Chinese in the middle of America. Why? Or is it just insane for us to effectively educate our enemies?
That is part of the ecosystem. We are providing an ecosystem for the Chinese Communist Party actually to stay competitive with us. We're providing them access to American equity markets, mass access to American debt markets, to basically pension funds. Workers' money in the United States whose jobs are being shipped overseas are essentially paying for that as we're financing that. Also the training. They're in our national labs. They're in companies here in the United States. But particularly, we have 350,000 or more, because I'm not even sure we know the exact number, that we're taking into our best universities and training them in competition to our own people. And
we need to be a patriotic nation. I mean, I'm American. I love the fact that I'm American. I'm blessed that I'm American. On the one hand, I'm proud to be an American, but on the other hand, I am blessed to be an American. Yeah. And it really hurts my heart when I see teaching institutions or any institution that is denigrating the American or our Western culture.
Okay, the Big Ten and the Fighting Illini, Illinois, a great university. How do we get in a situation, Steve, of now, because I keep saying it's the public Ivies. It's not the Ivy League that's the problem, and they're all over the Ivy League, but it's the University of Michigan, it's University of Wisconsin, it's Berkeley, it's Illinois, it's University of Virginia, North Carolina. These public Ivies are where the big problem is, because this is where kids, particularly in-state kids of every demographic, every faith, should be able to go to school if you're an American citizen and your parents have been here for a while. This is the problem. We're taking these Chinese nationals, and a lot of times it's not these kids' fault, but they've all got to sign up to report back to the CCP intelligence, sir.
That's exactly right. And by the way, yes, the pressure on those young Chinese is intense. And I feel for them. They're victims of the Chinese Communist Party as well. But I'm concerned with the American victims of this entire rotten structure. That last guest we showed there, Tony Robinson, he's a fantastic example of what these universities can do and used to do. He grew up on the south side of Chicago, young black man with a single mom, was brilliant, studied hard, went to University of Illinois, studied chemistry. And Steve, it changed his life. He became an industrial chemist, and he is now somewhat retired into teaching chemistry. He's now passing that forward to the next generation because that's the kind of patriot and man he is. He says in that full interview, he says, I'm not sure I get that chance. That spot's going to go to a Chinese national now from overseas instead of an American at a flagship university, and it's happening all over the country. Unfortunately, one of the worst cases is University of Illinois. That's why I highlighted it. 6,000 Chinese nationals in the middle of the American heartland. By the way, the Chinese government, they're evil, but they're not dumb. Why do they choose U of I? Because it's so good at STEM. Because people like Mark Andreessen and Larry Ellison came out of the University of Illinois. A lot of amazing companies and amazing technological developments have come out of U of I. We're now going to pass that knowledge on to the Chinese. And by the way, in some cases, it's not pass the knowledge on, it's have the knowledge stolen from us. You mentioned University of Michigan. Of course, we just had shocking indictments of Chinese students at the University of Michigan who were literally smuggling bioweapons into the United States in an attempt, we believe, to attack American agriculture, to poison our food. So, in the most benign case, we're taking opportunity from Americans, and we shouldn't be doing that. In the worst case, we are actually inviting spies and saboteurs into the United States. We're incentivizing them to come in, and these universities are at fault. The politicians are at fault, and folks, we're paying for it. Here's the thing. Even if you've never been to college, if you've never sent a kid to college, all of us, every one of us are financing these schools, and not just the state schools. In many ways, we actually finance the private institutions, the Ivy Leagues, even more. Columbia University, for example, the home of Alexander Hamilton, half foreign, gets billions of dollars in foreign aid. So I'm making the case in this documentary, and Steve, you were a critical part of this documentary. Everybody needs to watch, particularly for the Steve Bannon segment, which is so key. I'm making the case that the number of Chinese nationals at American universities should be zero. It should be bagel, none. And the number of foreign students overall should be capped at an extremely low level. I'm arguing for 1%, but something reasonable, not the 25, 30, 40% that we're seeing at these selective universities, again, that we subsidize.
Yeah. No, and make those available to local kids. I know how great University of Illinois is. The great Grace Chong, one of the most brilliant people I've had an opportunity to work with for many decades, came out of the University of Illinois. I think she's a kid from Chicago. Make it available to the kids from Chicago. Make it available to the kids from Illinois. We don't need Chinese Communist Party here taking 6,000 billets. Immediately turn those all over. And here's the reason. They're taking higher tuition from the CCP guys. The people in state pay lower tuition. That arbitrage is what pays the tenure and the retirement for these left-wing professors. This is the jam we've got ourselves in. And particularly when you talk about the more technical programs, both in business and in agriculture and in chemistry and the sciences and particularly technology. You're absolutely correct. Before I lose you, Steve, real quickly, where do people go to get all the content? Because I got to ask you about Meeks. Where do people go?
CortezInvestigates.com, Cortez with an S at the end, CortezInvestigates.com. It's free. Watch it, share it. We're not monetizing this. We want the world to see this. We want all Americans to get angry, informed, and then take action.
Hang on, Senator Schmidt's going to be next. I'm going to ask Steve if you couldn't hang around. Elizabeth Warren is lighting up Scott Bessent today. Scott Bessent there to walk through the president's economic plan with the banking committee. She's the ranking member. Real quickly, Steve, 30 seconds. Meeks attacked Scott Bessent, hammer and tong yesterday. Tell me about Meeks.
Yeah, so let's look at Meeks. 2008, he had to pay $63,000 to the FEC for using campaign funds for personal expenses, including personal trainer and his own personal vehicle. He also took a zero-interest loan from a donor. He bought a home for $170,000 less than it was worth from a donor. He cozied up to Chavez when he was in charge of Venezuela. Meeks is intrinsically corrupt. He is no one to be lecturing the great Scott Bessent.
Short commercial break. We're going to turn to the second hour of the War Room. Senator Schmidt. Join us next.
When the lights go down, the truth comes out.
This is built like a chicken McNugget, but
This is After Hours with Alex Stein. No filter.
you're a globalist. You don't care about America.
No apologies.
You're a pro-abortion when you should have been aborted.
The undisputed king of trolling.
I was recently sexually assaulted within the metaverse.
I want you to vaccinate your mom.
They tried to cancel us.
Deplatforming works.
She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
Politics, culture, hypocrisy.
They want them to have their penises cut off.
Uncensored and uncontrolled.
Cut your penis off, Max. That's what I'm saying. They admit they want to cut people's penises off.
Late night just got dangerous. After Hours with Alex Stein. Coming soon to Real America's Voice. Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. You're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
So you know what? Spare me. To the media, the pundits, and the talking heads, to the protesters on the streets, and their political friends here in the halls of power, we know who you are. We know what you care about. It's not humanity or empathy or compassion. It is raw power. And we know what you do with that power. And we've seen what you do with that power. The empty chair at the Riley family dinner table is the cost of what we paid for your power. And it's our patriotic duty to ensure you never get close to power again. Let me say this also to my friends and colleagues in my party. Don't give these people an inch. Don't fall for their moral blackmail. Don't let them negotiate or squirm their way into killing the president's mass deportation agenda. The American people support it. Don't let them talk you into believing that this is about justice. That's not what they care about. You know what I care about? I care about Americans. I care about the people who are risking their lives in the freezing cold to enforce our laws, rather than the ones who are hell-bent on breaking it. I care about the people who are trying to get these kinds of monsters who rape and murder our daughters out of our country, rather than the ones who want to put their bodies on the line to keep them here.
Thursday, 5 February in the year of our Lord 2026, honored to have Senator Eric Schmidt. Senator, why is it that we're not hearing more of what you pounded on the Senate floor yesterday? Now we need to come together, not just as a party, not just as a MAGA movement, but as a country, and to basically talk the truth and talk in brutal fact as you did yesterday. Why is that not happening more on Capitol Hill, sir?
Well, I think we're gaining momentum. That's the good news. Last week, when we got back here, I did feel like, maybe that some people were more interested in negotiating with the Democrats to make ICE officers' jobs harder. That's not going to happen. So last week I went on the Senate floor twice. This week did it again. We're rolling out our own proposal. Like, if the Democrats want to talk about this, that's fine. But guess what? We end sanctuary cities then. Right? We're not giving them an inch. We should end sanctuary cities. I've got a bill that would increase the penalties for illegal entry and illegal re-entry. Let's defund these NGOs, and let's protect our ICE agents by stiffening the penalties. That's the kind of stuff people want. That's the kind of fighting spirit we need to have right now. There's just no way, and I want to assure your audience, the Democrats have created this problem. They let 15 to 20 million people in here illegally. And yesterday, went on the floor, that clip you played, to talk about the American daughters who've been victimized by these monsters who came across and invaded our country. And I think we have to stiffen our spine, Steve, right now. This is a very important moment, not just in the news cycle, but for our country and our civilization. We're either going to side with law and order, or we're going to side with chaos. The Democrats are hell-bent on importing millions and millions more people here illegally. We have to be that bulwark that stops it. And so I'm continuing to bang that drum. I do think more and more people are seeing it that way, but we're going to find out. We got a 2-week window here now where the Democrats want to enter into this fake negotiation. My perspective is no more phony deals. What they really want to do is kneecap ICE and have de facto amnesty, and we shouldn't have anything to do with that.
Just before, I got to ask you some questions about that. Before we do that, it's no doubt in your mind President Trump won a mandate from the American people in November 2024 on this very topic, sir?
100%. And I actually think, Steve, and you know this better than anybody, the electrical cord that connects when he came down the escalator to this very moment was him not only bringing up the issue of illegal immigration, but saying, I'm the guy that's going to, fix what Joe Biden did in this country. I was with him a lot on the campaign trail and his travel stops. There were two main themes that he would always talk about, which was, dealing with the inflation issues, and then tariffs were part of that. The expert class has been wrong about that, as we've seen, as he's rebalancing that equation, but then also immigration. And I would also say, and I've tried to make a point of this too, it's not just illegal immigration. We have a legal immigration problem in this country. We've seen the abuse with H-1B. We've seen the abuse with OPT. We're displacing American workers. We're displacing American students. I think that's the next wave here. But right now, in this conversation about DHS, we're talking about enforcement. And I 100% agree with you that this is foundational for our movement. This issue, this is a home game for us, and we should treat it like that.
I want to talk about that home game. So we're a year from, 15 months from November 24. You stay pretty close to your constituents. What are your constituents telling you right now about these topics, sir?
That they want to meet mass migration with mass deportations. And if you look at the polling, does it poll a little bit higher to say we're going to get rid of these hardened criminals and send them back? Yes. But it's also a vast majority, especially of Republicans, but including the general public, they want to deport people who've come here illegally. And I think they saw what would happen. I mentioned in that speech, we've seen what the Democrats will do with power. And we can't let that happen again. But while we are in power, we ought to do something about it and prove to the American people that we are worthy of their trust. And I think President Trump has crystallized that issue better than anybody. Pat Buchanan, of course, was talking about it 30 years ago. You've been talking about it. But President Trump was able to win 2 elections now in office to get in to take on this issue. And we can't let the Democrats sort of deal this away with these ideas that may seem somewhat innocuous, but their intention really is to limit the ability of ICE to do their jobs.
So now this entire thing has now come to the U.S. Senate. You said this was a fake negotiation. We saw, I think it was last night or yesterday, they gave us their demands, which is essentially do away with ICE. You're coming back. Yeah. You've got some alternatives. We've only got what I think now. We had 15 days. I think we're down to 14 or 13. We've got this whole thing about, can we get a CR? Can we finance it? Haven't we played it into their hands that they've got these requirements that everyone's non-negotiable? In addition, if the 15 days runs out, doesn't ICE just stop getting funded? I mean, don't they have all the leverage here, or do you see a way that you can take a machete and cut your way through here?
Yeah, I actually, here's how I see it, Steve. I am glad we haven't. This is isolated now. This is an issue that we have now. We have to be unafraid to talk about it, and we have to be unafraid to make the case. But the American people are with us on this. We can't be, weak here. And I think what we say is this has been isolated. Here's the other thing that gets lost a little bit too. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, or the Working Families Tax Cut that we passed last summer, we front-loaded all this money for ICE. We front-loaded tens of billions of dollars for detention centers. We front-loaded tens of billions of dollars for deportation efforts, for bonuses. There have been 200,000 people, Steve, apply to be ICE agents in this country. So what you see is this groundswell of support among real Americans, in my state and other places, who understand, who have common sense, who want to tackle this. We can't yield to it. So basically, here's what happens. If this CR expires in next Friday or whenever it is, ICE is going to have their money. The only money that's not going to flow is to FEMA and to TSA. So we do have the leverage here. There's no reason in the world for us to capitulate to the Democrats' demands. I think we say, hell no, we've got our own proposals. They're not going to want to do those. But if they want to defund FEMA and they want to defund TSA, that's going to be on them. So I think we actually have the leverage if we play our cards right. If we do not, if we're not weak and try to cut some deal with the Democrats, again, whose only purpose here is to defang any attempts to enforce our immigration laws.
But isn't that the rub? I mean, you're a tougher, correct me if I'm wrong, but your tougher negotiation right now is going to be within the Senate Republican caucus, sir?
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, we just got to make sure, which is why I keep going to the Senate floor and why I'm banging this drum. I've seen this. I saw this. Look, Ferguson's in my backyard. I was Attorney General in 2020 with the George Floyd riots with a Soros prosecutor in my backyard. I've seen this play before. I know what they do. They try to take an incident. They're trying to create these confrontations, Steve, to have some viral moment so that we lose our will to do what the American people sent us to do, and we can't do it. I think we're really at a critical point in our country where the American people have given us this mandate to go do it. And I think if we fail at this, it'd be catastrophic for our movement and for the country, because we have to be the ones that say no. A country that can't say no can't say yes to anything that's important. And I think that's where we're at right now. So what I've tried to do is provide some experience. When I was AG, we fought the Biden administration every turn on their mass migration agenda. We were successful for a while. I wrote about that in the book, The Last Line of Defense. We were successful for a while holding that off. But ultimately, what was proven was that laws on the books that aren't enforced don't mean much. So we have laws on the books that if they are enforced, you see right now a secure border that we have, but we have to move forward with the agenda of deportations.
Look, it's your experience is one of the reasons the president reaches out to you and seeks your counsel. But you're putting up what you said at the top, a very well thought through counter to what this ridiculous thing the Democrats put up. Are your colleagues in the Senate? Do you have now? I take it 45 co-sponsors already just by sending it around?
Yeah, I think we're gaining momentum by the day. And that's what I tried to say in the darkest moment in a Senate lunch last week. Well, I don't want to say the darkest moment, but when maybe some people were willing to by the way, not knowing things like this idea of having judicial warrants would absolutely grind to a halt deportations. We have warrants right now. They're called administrative warrants. These are Article 2 powers for civil removal. That's what they're doing. And that, by the way, that's what's happened, Steve, for decades.
But it shows you
Republican and Democrat presidents alike.
You know this,
right? So we can't yield on these things. Yeah. We're not going to.
It shows you they're not.
We're not going to unmask these ICE agents and cause their families to be harmed.
But they shows you they're not in good faith. When they put judicial warrants out, it would take us 15 million years to deport 15 million people. It's ridiculous. Right. What do you need? You're obviously a big favorite of the War Room audience, the War Room Posse. We got about a minute and a half. Walk through what you need from this audience. What do we need to do to have your back and those fighters in the Senate over the next couple of days? Because this is where it's going to be determined. So what do you need from us?
I think just encouraging Republicans here to say, hey, look, we were sent here to make sure we have this deportation effort. We can't yield right now. This is not the time. The Democrats are being ridiculous. They just want to inhibit that ability to enforce our immigration laws. Hold firm. Don't cut a deal with them that would make it impossible for ICE to do their jobs.
Senator Schmidt, where can people follow you? Social media, website, all of it.
Yeah, SchmidtForSenate.com is the website, and Eric_Schmidt on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Love the War Room. Thank you guys for all you do. You guys are great patriots, and we're gonna keep fighting.
You're a big audience favorite, and you do Missouri right in the Senate, the nation's capital. Folks in Missouri, I hope, understand that. Should be very proud of your fight. And, man, we got to fight over the next 10 days. So thank you, sir, for coming on.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Okay, folks, let's pile into those Senate numbers. I'll put it up in the next segment. We need them to hold the line. We need toughness. We need to back down these Democrats. We cannot compromise on anything that Democrats put out, as we've talked about over the last couple of days, are ridiculous. And Eric Schmidt, having been an attorney general in Missouri, tells you the judicial warrants shows you that they're not serious. The Democrats are not serious about this. What they don't want any deportations. Forget mass deportations. They don't want the worst criminals deported. That's why it hasn't been unprecedented cooperation, unprecedented non-cooperation. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Steve. If you're fortunate enough to own a home, I guess the average is 80 to 90% of your net worth is tied up in that. Every dream you've ever had, make sure that no one that is not you can get access to it. With cyber, AI, rogue lawyers, rogue accountants, rogue relatives, maybe even a rogue friend. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Steve. You get a 14-day free trial on their $1 million triple lock protection. Go talk to Natalie Dominguez and the team and do it today.
When the lights go down, the truth comes out.
This is built like a chicken McNugget, but...
This is After Hours with Alex Stein. No filter.
You're a globalist. You don't care about America.
No apologies.
You're a pro-abortion when you should have been aborted.
The undisputed king of trolling.
I was recently sexually assaulted within the metaverse.
I want to vaccinate your mom.
They tried to cancel us.
Deplatforming works.
She wants to kill babies, but she's still beautiful. Look at that booty on AOC. That's my favorite big booty Latina.
Politics, culture, hypocrisy.
They want them to have their penises cut off.
Uncensored and uncontrolled.
That's what I'm saying. They admit they want to cut people's penises off.
Late night just got dangerous. After Hours with Alex Stein. Coming soon to Real America's Voice. Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to Rab. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
Hi, this is Chris from Colorful Colorado. I'm drawbridge in the Getter Chat. I trust no one for my news except Real America's Voice. So if anyone asks, I was never here.
This is Diane from Rhode Island. Why do I love Real America's Voice? Because they deliver us facts from hosts who love America and love God. What's not to like?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So for a solid year while he ran for president, Donald Trump promised pretty much every day that he was going to lower costs on day one, if he was elected. Those were his words, not mine. So Secretary Bessent, you are one of the president's top economic advisors. Let's just start with a little truth-telling about the Trump economy 1 year in. Affordability is the top concern for Americans across the country. Donald Trump has called affordability, I want to get this right, a hoax. He's called it a scam. He's called it a con job. You're the Secretary of Treasury. You know the numbers. Is affordability a hoax, a scam, or a con job?
Senator, it may be a bit nuanced for you, but what President Trump is referring to is the media saying that the affordability crisis was generated by this administration when it was you and President Biden who destroyed the buying power of the American people. So there is an affordability crisis, and you were front and center in it.
So let me make sure that I understand. Donald Trump is not saying that affordability, what's happening to families right now, is a hoax?
He is saying that trying to lay the blame at this administration rather than the Biden-Warren economy is a hoax.
Okay, so it all happened before he got it. And everything that's happened since then, nothing is a hoax here.
21.5% cumulative inflation.
Let me just ask about what's happened in the 1 year that Donald Trump has been president. Last week, President Trump said, quote,
I can only take so much of, it's properly pronounced Pocahontas, as in foe. A faux Native American is Elizabeth Warren. Steve Cortez, I got Philip Patrick on deck. Just your comments. The whole hearing has been like this, just attack of Scott Bessent. Right. Your thoughts?
Well, Steve, thank goodness we have Scott Bessent. He is the most principled and skilled Secretary of the Treasury, perhaps since Alexander Hamilton, who we mentioned earlier. He also clearly has the patience of Job, that he is able to tolerate that kind of harangue from an Antifa Karen like Elizabeth Warren. And when it comes to this issue of affordability, he's exactly correct in stating we don't want to hear about fire safety from the arsonist, the very arsonist who lit the inflation inferno in the first place. As a matter of fact, thankfully, Secretary Bessent, President Trump, others are doing yeoman's work in addressing this affordability crisis, largely through deportations, as we also cited earlier. But again, the problem was created on the watch of Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren. They don't now get to grandstand and lecture to a brilliant man, a brilliant leader like Scott Bessent about how he should solve it when they caused the problem in the first place.
Philip Patrick, to go back to that inflation, to go back to the affordability issue, this is why we started End of the Dollar Empire on their watch. We knew exactly what Biden was going to do, and it was that massive federal spending, over-the-top federal spending that everybody warned him, or I shouldn't say everybody warned him at the time. Democrats, it's just going to be temporary, it's just going to be fleeting. But we could see the destruction of the U.S. dollar, and that's where we are today. That's 25% on Biden's watch. And I just want to make sure people know how to get to you, because obviously markets have been all over the place, and particularly gold had a huge run, backed off, another run, backed off, another run. What's your recommendation to our audience right now?
Look, nothing has changed in terms of the fundamentals. It's definitely been a volatile start to the year for precious metals, but quite frankly, it's somewhat welcome. Silver had run 150% last year. Gold was approaching 70%. You know, when we see sort of step backs like this, I think it creates a stronger floor. So we're very much encouraged. Like I said, nothing has changed in terms of the fundamentals. Some comments on what we just listened to. It was frustrating, to say the least, but I think very clearly she was just trying to put Bannon into a trap, it is very obvious you don't get 25% cumulative inflation by accident. That is years of bad policy, spending explosions, money printing, energy shocks, and rate suppression under a Biden and Warren sort of worldview. So it's an absurdity to try and put it on the shoulders of President Trump after 12 years, while inflation is 12 months rather, while inflation has been coming down. It's an absurdity, and it's clearly trying to put Bannon into a word trap. Bannon is so far and above these guys when it comes to the economy. They're doing a fantastic job, as everybody knows. It frustrates me to have to listen to those cold opens.
That's one of the reasons we couldn't even show yesterday, because the House, as you know, is not the Senate, and it was embarrassing for the House members, the brutal attacks on Scott Bessent. Before I let you go, this whole crypto implosion, I think $1.8 trillion of value have been wiped off of crypto. How does that play as gold as a hedge? We know gold's been shifted into this category of maybe a new financial asset by the central banks. But what is it, the implosion of crypto? Is there a lesson there for people that are looking at physical gold, sir?
Look, I think the lesson is very clear. We understand a lot about precious metals. They are counter-cyclical. They perform very, very well during tough times. We understand precious metals' relationship with other asset classes. We know inflation fuels their growth. We know gold has an inverse relationship. We know they're broadly safe haven assets. Crypto, we're not seeing that, right? It doesn't have the established relationship with other markets, and everything we're seeing so far seems to suggest it's broadly pro-cyclical. So opposite end of the spectrum, this concept that crypto would become the new gold, I think as time progresses, we're seeing that's not the case. I'm not saying there's not value there, but to me it looks to be on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Philip, how do people get to you right now? Because everybody's saying, hey, have I missed out on this run? Is there going to be a huge back off? I mean, there's so many questions from our audience. Obviously, many people have been engaged with you for years now. Where do people go to get access to you and your team?
Yeah, it's very simple. birchgold.com/Bannon or text Bannon to 989898. I've been chomping at the bit to get on this week, but encourage people to give us a call. We'll explain exactly what's going on and what opportunities are being created in the current climate. So birchgold.com/Bannon or Bannon to 989898.
Okay, you've got it. Philip Patrick and the team are waiting to take your calls and to talk to you online, so let's do it. We've given you access to the smartest team out there. When we started this, I don't know, gold was $1,000, $1,100, and we walked through exactly what was going to happen here. It's not the price, it's the process of how value is driven. So make sure you talk to Philip Patrick and the team today. Philip, thanks for taking time away from the desk to talk to us by phone. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
I mean, even on days like today to do that shows you how much he cares about this audience. Okay, John Solomon, you wrote an amazing piece. We had Schmidt up. I want you to walk through this thing about the Senate, because Schmidt said, hey, we can't back off 1 inch. When they put the judicial warrants in there, you just realize they're not serious people. Cortez made a very compelling point that the self-deportations, the 2 million that President Trump had in the first year, is one of the reasons that affordability, particularly in real estate prices and rents, are coming back. Give us your thought, your piece. Are we going to get this done in the Senate this week, or are we going to collapse, sir?
Well, we'll get it done in the House next week. The whip count is that they have the votes to pass this combined bill, this bill that takes citizenship check at registration and voter ID at voting as the ultimate trust factor in American elections. It's something we do every day, right? We have to show our license when we get on a plane, when we get a pack of beer at the store, when we go to the bar, or when we pick up our tickets at will call at a baseball stadium. Certainly for the most precious right we have in America to vote, to control our democracy and to have a voice in our constitutional republic. We could hold it.
You're saying as a predicate, hang on, predicate to everything, the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, and Make America Great Again, or Make Elections Great Again, these different bills are around, they have different aspects.
They're all one bill
You're saying you're going to combine it into one bill and actually get it passed in the House?
That's exactly what the majority leader, Steve Scalise, said last night. They've combined them into one bill. It's called the Save America Act. It's one bill. It has three major components of election integrity. One, you got to provide proof of citizenship when you register. You have to provide a photo ID when you vote in a federal election. And three, states must routinely and aggressively cull their voter rolls to make sure no non-citizens are on there. We've had tens of thousands of non-citizens be detected on voter rolls in the states over the last year or two. There's been these audits, and they're very disturbing. Now, people say it's only 20,000 in the country. 20,000 is enough to swing an election, as we've seen in these tight races. So those numbers are scary. In a modern society, it's easy to do this, unless you're a Democrat state who doesn't want to do it. So this bill would force all three of those things. It's going to get through the House, according to Scalise and to Chip Roy. Then it will be sent over to the Senate. And then there's a two-part process in the Senate to make this a reality. The first is the Democrats are going to filibuster. It's time to go back to what a filibuster was meant to be. You got to stand on your feet and talk until you drop. And the second you drop, the filibuster's over. There's a lot of old senators. They ain't going to be able to keep up a 4 or 5 or 10 or 14-week thing. Mitch McConnell created the lazy filibuster. Just say I'm filibustering and you don't have to do it. That's ridiculous. That's not what our founding fathers ever intended. It's not what the Clay debates and other great moments in American history where we have lazy senators who now want to have fake filibusters. The first opportunity is for conservatives who want this done to pressure John Thune to make it a standing and talking filibuster again. That will wear down the Democrats. They might hold on for 5 or 6 weeks, but eventually they're going to run out. And when they run out, each of them gets 2 turns within a few weeks. You can get a simple majority vote. And that's step one. And step two is getting the Republicans on board to approve these 3 common sense provisions that 80% of Americans support.
What's your, how likely is Thune to, I know this is a huge priority for the president. What's the over and under on Thune supporting going to a talking or standing filibuster, sir?
I think there needs to be more pressure from the grassroots. He's got to feel it to be certain. I think he's thinking about it, but he's not quite there. The president's a very persuasive figure, but if tens of thousands of Americans had their voice be heard on Capitol Hill between the next week, I think a lot could happen.
John, hang on for 1 second. I got a couple other questions to ask you now that we got you. Short commercial break. John Solomon on the other side.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Hey y'all, it's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
This
is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. Number one news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
John Salma's with us for a couple of minutes before he's got to bounce. John, on night, besides, I keep saying, hey, you're going to have ice around these polling booths because we're not going to have another election stolen. The other thing, they melt down that.
Yeah,
but
got a lot of attention on that one, I'll tell you.
a lot of the other thing that they're actually they're more concerned about is Tulsi Gabbard down in Georgia with DNI and the FBI taking the ballots away. Here's my question. You're my inside baseball guy on this. In either the law enforcement community and or the intelligence community, are we noticing anything that makes the candle worth the game here? Is this something that you feel or you're hearing has got some traction? Because the left is actually, they're more vocal about what I'm saying, but they're more concerned about that.
They are really concerned that Tulsi Gabbard is poking around. So let's explain what I think could happen. Georgia ballots have already been seized. I think you will see a similar type operation soon in Arizona. Two battleground states where there were reviews and prior concerns, and now the FBI is going to look to see whether election officials lied to conceal the flubs and failures and mistakes of those election workers. Separately, the reason that Tulsi Gabbard was down in Georgia is that there's a belief that what the intelligence community has been digging up on election integrity could be connected to what happened downstream in battleground states like Georgia and Arizona. That is a profound statement. Let me try to walk you through what we used to know and what we know now. We were told by Chris Wray and other officials after the 2020 election, we had a perfect election. There were no major foreign intrusions or foreign attempted intrusions in the 2020 election. I pretty quickly debunked that about a year later when I reported that Iran actually had hacked into a battleground state's registration system and downloaded more than 100,000 identities and was using them. Eventually, two guys got indicted in Manhattan. That's a really significant intrusion. That was not what Chris Wray told us. Then we learned from Kash Patel a couple of months ago that China was sending driver's licenses into the United States in 2020 in hopes that they could be used to create fake ballot registrations. That is a second really significant intrusion. Both of those run contrary to what Chris Wray and other Homeland Security officials gave us as statements during the time. I believe that the President of the United States is soon going to be briefed by Tulsi Gabbard and other intelligence officials, based on my reporting, about additional intrusions, significant, large-scale intrusions into various forms of our election system. Now, I'm not talking about getting a machine and flipping the vote, but maybe getting enough of state voter databases that a foreign power could work with people on the ground in the United States to fill out fake registrations for people who are on dirty voter rolls. Those licenses that were sent into Chicago were going to be used to make absentee ballot applications, according to the FBI predicate. By the way, Chris Wray's FBI didn't look at that. They shut it down. If a foreign power was that far into the election databases of state systems that they could figure out what driver's licenses to send here, the next question becomes, who were they working with on the ground? Who was going to file those ballot requests? I think that's why Tulsi Gabbard was down in Georgia, why you might see her in Arizona, why the FBI will probably be in Arizona, and why the president's about to get a briefing. And all of this new information could have a profound effect on the Save America Act, which is, all right, some people say it feels like we're doing an awful lot. There's not a real problem. These next revelations, if the president were to declassify them after he gets debriefed on them in the next few days, they could educate senators and House members and give them a greater inspiration to maybe go ahead and do the voter ID and the citizenship check. That is a big moment. Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are driving this. It's been below the radar, but they're doing some really big stuff. Now the president's going to find out what it is, and then at that point, the opportunity comes to declassify it. Let's see what it is. There's one other element to this. If government officials lied to us after the 2020 election, there's still an opportunity in some of those cases to pursue criminal cases against them. We'll see where it all comes out, but that's what's going on in the background of the Save America Act debate right now.
John, if you were in studio right now, I would hug you. You just gotta hit rewind. Hit rewind for 1 minute. As you remember,
sure,
better than anybody, we spent, I think, half of 2021 in the great state of Arizona on this issue. And I know the Arizona Patriots. Just give me a 1 minute summary. When you said the word Arizona, and we're already in Georgia, just give me the 1 minute summary of Arizona, because I know there's so many War Room posse members from the great state of Arizona have been waiting for something to say, hey, what we did, we're not wasting our time. This is actually being reviewed by senior authority. What do you got again?
Yeah. Again, I don't think election machines are flipping ballot counts and things like that. I think that the actual way that the elections were administered were in violation of state law. And this is very important. The laws that the Democratic Party created during the Civil Rights Movement and the Great Voting Rights Act movement of the 1960s, something that all Americans are proud of, they still apply today. And those laws say you must, if you're an election administrator, conduct the election consistent with your state rules so that everybody has equal protection in your state. If Georgia and Arizona didn't do that, if Fulton County and Maricopa County did things that were in violation of state law that created an unfair or unequal election, they can be prosecuted under the Voting Rights Act and other civil liberty laws for that. I think that's where it's going, that you can't just change your state procedures in violation of your law because that's what you want to do during a pandemic. That could create criminal cases against election administrators. And I think that when you look at the search warrant that I got to see from Fulton County this past week, those are the laws that Kash Patel's team cited. State officials not following their law and therefore creating a fraudulent election. That's where those two states are being examined right now.
Solomon, where do people go for your show, podcast, and also your all your writing over Just the News? Because now you're ahead of this combination bill going to pass through the House and then go to the Senate. Where do folks go to keep up to date with everything?
Yeah, real simple. JustTheNews.com is the website. I'm lucky enough to follow you every day right here on Real America's Voice, 6 o'clock. Just the News, No Noise with Amanda Head. And Jay Solomon reports on all social media platforms.
Thank you, sir. The next couple of weeks are going to be quite intense. Look forward to having you back.
It's going to be fun. Watch out.
We seconded Dave Bratt. Well, Dave Bratt was going anyway because he's down at Liberty. He's a very religious guy, as you know. Dave Bratt, you were at the prayer breakfast. Give us your assessment, sir.
Yeah, it was outstanding. President Trump did a tour de force. And, years back, there was a little uneasiness between the religious community, President Trump, what to make of each other. And it's too hard to explain it right here. But basically, he has cut through it all. And the room was just, he was cracking joke after joke. And the room was just in love with President Trump and what he's been able to do. And, he got serious. He said, why do you think I work so hard? It's because I believe in something. That's why religion and faith is so important, because you got to believe in something. Why do you get up every day? What do you do what you do? So he got, that's it right there. Why are you on this planet? And so Trump, people's, I'm religious supposedly, and he's not. I don't buy that for a second. And he goes off on some evidence. The Bible sales in 2025 were through the roof, up a few 100%. The 20-year-olds up a couple 100% going to church. The Johnson Amendment, he took great pride in that. He said, why have, some of these ministers were a little weak at first. He said they stood up and they. One guy told me, 8-10 years ago, he says, well, we're just scared. If we mention you or politics or endorse you, we lose our church. We lose our tax exemption. And President Trump said, I solved that for him. And he did. And then a lot of emphasis in his talk on strength. He quoted the Bible, blessed are the peacemakers. And he said, one of the key lines a lot of the religious people like, he says, I'm not a perfect guy. He says, but I'm here to protect you perfect people. And boy, that line really resonated. And he cuts through things, right, which would take hours to explain, all the differences in the religions and whatever. But he just cuts through it. On the international front, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is sitting down at the end. He referred to him several times. Other secretaries went across the board with the accomplishments. But Hegseth, he really gave a shout out. Taking it to the Nigerian radicals, the herdsmen. Some of it's not religious, and they took out the evildoers who were killing the kids over in Nigeria twice. And then he, referenced other events around the world. He went through 7 of his key peace initiatives and breakthroughs he's made to give the world peace. He said people want peace on the streets and the cities. That's what I'm doing. I mean, people say I'm mean. People say I'm mean. That's not true. He said I'm trying to provide a good, safe cities. And look at Washington, D.C. Look what I've done across the board. A little bit, he went off some funny stuff. I'm the most indicted guy in the world, but that's linked to this election fraud. And he went there. He went everywhere in the talk. It was a superb talk. You could see some Democrats down there a little fidgety and whatever. And by the end, they were smiling, laughing, going, I know. Everyone wants to,
said, he made a comment that I thought was at the end, his speechwriter put in when he went back to the glass or went back to the official speech and said, I think blessed are the pure of heart. And he goes back, he says, hey, I don't know if that's me. I don't know how pure my heart is. Right, and that got laughed. But is the religious community there? Are their loins girded for the fight we have in front of us? I mean, these next couple of weeks are going to be tough, and then all the way through the midterms. It's not going to get easier. You've seen the kind of Marxist, atheistic, jihadist, red-green alliance. Is that crowd, I realize they come together to pray, and they like the president coming. But, man, the prayer at the end said, buffet you for all the storms ahead. And my point is that, hey, the storm has arrived. Do the folks in that audience that are doing the praying, the pure of heart, are they coming at us? Are they going to be brave hearts? Or are they going to curl up in a ball and say, this is just too tough for us? Let me go back to my prayer book and I'll pray for you guys.
Yeah, that's still a tough one, honestly. I'd say about a third of that room are some fighters in there. You could tell by the reactions. A third, will do it discreetly. And then a third are just wimps and not ready to do what it takes. But, he referenced all the indictments against him. I'm the most sued person.
But hang on. Can we win with only a third being Bravehearts? Is that enough throw weight? Is that enough that we have? Look, to come to the prayer breakfast, you're obviously fairly engaged in knowing this is a spiritual war. And knowing it's a spiritual war, you're saying 1/3's kind of do it under, they'll do it when it's easy to do. A third is, I'm not going to do it. I mean, how are we going to win in a spiritual war when our spiritual warriors are not girded for battle?
Yeah, well, the evangelical vote, and he referenced it, was 80%, over 80% last time. So the voting is there, but the fighting and the grassroots work is not there. But the war room and, the new promising piece he quoted, that the 20-year-olds are up, several 100% church attendance, faith, and they're the media savvy people. They're the social media getting stuff to go viral. And so the parents are learning, I think, from the kids. And so, but yeah, I don't want to get all rosy scenario. I don't see it there yet coming from the religious community, and it really ought to be. The war that some people just don't know what's going on, right? But just look at Minnesota. If you held an election tomorrow, they'll vote for the corruption again.
Hang on, full stop. How can you sit there and say people don't know what's going on? They may want to avoid it. They may not want to talk about it. You cannot live in America today and not see what's going on, can you?
Well, if you poll people on the $20 billion in fraud, no one would know about it. If you poll people on the illegality of elections, they don't know about it. They know there's corruption all over. They know things are going south. But he was fighting the mainstream media the whole way. The whole way he was fighting them and mocking them, and that's where we are.
Brad, hang on. We're going to take a short break. Dave Bratt on the other side.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
Hi, my name is Tracy L. from Arizona. I don't stink around in the kitchen when it comes to the news. I watch Real America's Voice, which always serves accurate and reliable updates that are on point with their amazing hosts. So don't find yourself in a pickle by tuning into the fake news. Stick with Real America's Voice.
Hey y'all, it's Nancy from Texas. Real America's Voice gives us truth, not propaganda, and we need that. Thank you so much.
This is Tim King, also known as USS Malik, and I love Real America's Voices for its like-minded programming and the chat. Love you guys.
This is Giselle Chaffin. I'm from North Carolina. I'd like to let you know that RAV News is the best news. #1 news. Truth seekers seek to find the truth. It'll set you free.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, tax day's coming upon us. 800-958-1000. Tax Network USA has a special deal only for the War Room Posse. Okay, go there right now. You get a free assessment. You tell them your tale of woe, everything the IRS has been sending you, they will give you a free assessment. So this is only for the War Room Posse. They'll tell you exactly roughly where you are with the IRS. The hole may not be as bad as you think. It may be worse, but they got a free assessment only for the War Room Posse. 800-958-1000. 800-958-1000. Tell them Steve Bannon sent you part of the War Room Posse. Get that assessment and do it today. Don't wait. Do it today. They've been overwhelmed with phone calls where they're getting through all of them from the War Room Posse. Dave Bratt, I think the number's 40 million Christians don't vote. They're not engaged in the political process. Some of them just not interested. Others think it's their Christian duty not to be involved in politics. You said 1/3 of the room was with us in the spiritual war. 1/3 was like, hey, if I can do it but not be identified, I might be, and 1/3 is not. What is this? What does the war room need to do to make sure we get all Christians fully engaged in this battle, sir?
Yeah, well, it's the single most important thing the War Room can do, and that you do, is put pressure on the Congress and the senators, right? We need to put extreme heat on them to message on these key issues that Trump is leading on. 20 million illegal immigration, and the Senate is getting weak. on 85% issues. So that's number one. Number two, get Congress and the senators and all the staffs to simplify our messaging. Cleta Mitchell came on the other day. All we got to show is a 10,000, 20,000 vote gap. She showed every other day, but Thursday, there's 300,000 votes that are missing off 150,000 this way, 150,000 this way. We need to prove that point. Illegals. We need to prove and show the Davos Soros funding of activists. Everybody knows it, but we need to just have simple 2 to 3 bullet points to young people out there listening. Get the memes going. Prove this stuff. We got a lot of great people out there reporting every night on the War Room and other shows. Young people, save this country, right? Stand up, get strong, and save the country. China for Russian connections, funding the chaos. You think this chaos is organic in this country? Everybody knows it's not. But the left, the middle, and that middle 30 group of pastors, they do not understand concretely. They couldn't name what is the foreign intervention in our country. We need to prove it to them. Yeah, and the Marxist element as well. Yeah.
Dave, it's so amazing. We got to bounce, but I love the way you scrub up for the prayer break. When the president's there, look at Dave Brett right there, man. Looks like a choir boy. Got the suit, the tie. It's not the grubby look that you take coming on. I've had too big an influence on you. Where do you go for social media, Brad? Where do we go to get all your information?
No, just Brad Economics, but I'm pushing Immigration Accountability Project. Rosemary Jenks, go there. That issue right there, that's a way you can support and drive the religious community there. IA Project, Immigration Accountability Project, what's their new thing? IAPaction.org. IAPaction.org. Go fund them. Quit spending money on the Republicans who are doing nothing and fund them and get the word out.
Rosemary's doing an amazing job. David, I know you're on the board. In fact, I think you're the chairman. Thank you for doing that. Trevor, we got 90 seconds, not 2 minutes. Where do people go? People are raving about these products. Every time somebody goes, they come back and contact me. Where do they go to get access to you and to find out about the new products?
Yeah, great to see you, Steve. So with the time that I had, I wanted to mention that starting today, we are running our Valentine's Day sale through the week. So you can use code LOVE at checkout for 20% off any one-time order. Of course, our flagship product is our grass-fed beef liver, which is still our #1 product. It's amazing for overall health and vitality, as well as energy due to the dense nutrient profile, but also our Sacred Healing Salve is selling extremely fast. The reviews that we've been getting have been absolutely amazing. So I encourage people to check that out. Again, if you have like joint pain, sprains, swelling, or want to use it for arthritis support, it works amazing in those scenarios. So I really encourage people to check that product out specifically. And then, of course, let us know if you have any questions.
Okay, one more time. Where do they go to get to you now that you've launched the Valentine's Day special? Where do they go?
Yeah. You can go to sacredhumanhealth.com and then again, use code LOVE at checkout for 20% off any one-time order. And definitely check out the reviews around all the products.
Reviews are unbelievable. Trevor, the founder, CEO, and chairman of Sacred Human Health. Thank you, brother. People love their products. And they love talking to Trevor. Just make sure you contact. Okay, there's a poll. Can we show it? Somebody made a snide remark. Well, you finished third in the straw poll the other night, but they got a real poll that's come out overnight. Mike Lindell is leading in the governor's race. Suck on that. What do you got to talk to me about, brother?
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. Yeah, this was the real poll, everybody. This is the people's poll. And I came out, I'm number one. I'm number one. And the gal that was number one this day month in the straw poll, she is number 2. The other guy that was third is all the way to number 4, but I've got a big lead. It's Steve, it was perfect timing too that because everyone's going, well, Mike, you only took third. No, the people say I'm one, and that's what the people vote, not all these other straw polls. So I'm very excited. And everybody, if you want to help out there, because we got momentum now, and we're going to have the biggest campaign this country's ever seen. It's MikeLindellGov.com. I need your help now. We're doing a huge marketing plan. You can check it out there, and we're starting now. I mean, this is going to take a lot of marketing and special marketing to beat Amy Klobuchar, but we will win, and with your help, it's MikeLindellGov.com. And Steve, I wanted to quick get on here. We've got a very special day today as two sales collide for My Pillow. We started the mega sale today, the second annual mega sale, and where we have our towels, our sheets, our towels, $34.98, the lowest price in history for the 6-piece towel set. This is a War Room exclusive, and you see the other specials there. But what I did, the sale we had with our bedding sale, we've extended it today, so the two sales collide, so nobody missed out on the tail end of it. So if you go to mypillow.com/war room. There you're going to see the bedding and free shipping. We're going to do it for both sales today on your entire order. We're going to finish today as two sales collide. There's the mattress toppers. This is it, though, you guys. Last chance. The beds made in the USA. All the technology to change your bed into the best bed ever. Free shipping. Promo code War Room. 800-873-1062. Promo code War Room. My operator is standing by. Steve, I'm very excited to have in the War Room back My Pillow and cover my employee-owned company, and then to come out number one this morning. I'm feeling pretty good.
Let's get that poll and we'll put it out there. Charlie Kirk Show is next. Poso after that. We are back at 5 o'clock. Natalie at 5. I'll be at 6 in War Room, Texas.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.